All right, we are live. So what I am doing tonight, I am doing a live stream. So I'm making history. I have noticed that a lot of my videos, my commentary videos are doing really well. I've been making commentary videos starting last January, and I moved away from basic tutorial videos and I started commenting on other people's videos, and I noticed that that was getting a lot of traction. So instead of commenting on the video and then editing the video, which takes a lot of time, why don't I just do it live? Not only that, I can give you the commentary much faster that way. So I am looking at Victoria Garrick's eating disorder story. I don't know where I saw this video. I think YouTube just knows what I like to watch. They noticed that I watch these kinds of videos and they put it onto my homepage, and I said, okay, I'll watch it. So I did. It's a very good story. I like these kind of videos because they give us lessons. There's gold in these lessons. And so that's what I'm trying to do with these kinds of videos, is trying to extract the gold. Like, what can we learn from this video? What are the themes? What are the insights here? I'm not going to play the whole video. What I did is I watched it. I wrote down some timestamps, and then I'm going to fast forward to that part of the video. That way you don't have to watch the whole thing. You can go back and watch it, whole thing if you want. But I also want to avoid copyright strikes. I just want to comment on several things that she said. Super chats are open if you want to do super chat. I will answer all your questions. I don't expect a lot of questions since this is the first one that I'm doing. So here we go. Let's take a look at Victoria Garrick's eating disorder stories. I'm going to do a split screen here. Actually, I'm going to do a bigger one. Let's go to this part. So when as she's telling the story, she's telling this in the past, obviously. Looking at this, she's probably like in her mid-20s, and she's talking about her college years. I think she went to USC. Now she has her own channel, very good channel, much bigger than mine. Has her own podcast, and so this is where it starts. Anyway, we're going to skip ahead to where it all starts. Here we go.
I cared a lot about my appearance, and I was like obsessed with looking good. I counted my calories. I was constantly on diets. I saw a dietitian. I was always weighing myself. I measured myself. I was obsessed. Oh yeah, I was obsessed.
All right, stop right there. So she's in college, and she starts to engage in a lot of typical diet behaviors, like weighing herself, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I think a lot of these things start during those years, like high school, college, because, well, several factors. She was a student athlete, so there was pressure on her to weigh a certain amount. There is pressure on her to perform. There's the immaturity. There's the insecurity. And then you combine that with sexual attraction. Okay, I think this is something that doesn't get discussed a lot, is the intersection between sexual attraction and the development of eating disorders. That certainly wasn't the case for me. I mean, I definitely had aesthetic goals like Victoria did, but I think when she was in college, she noticed that all of the fit women got more attention. And so she thought, well, if they're getting the attention, I want to be like them. Okay, so you have that pressure. You've got, sexual attraction. You've got the student athlete, and then you just have the natural immaturity that comes with that age. You don't really know what you're doing at that age. That's why it's a really dangerous time. That's why a lot of eating disorders and addiction start at this point, because you have free will, you have a lot of freedom, but you don't really know how to exercise it. I certainly didn't, because I did a lot of the behaviors that she did. The weighing the food, being obsessed, constantly looking in the mirror. I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't have any mentor. I didn't have anybody coaching me on this. I just did it, and I paid dearly for it. So that's the first point here. Not only that, but she's younger than me. Good 10 years, has to be 10 years. I'm going to fast forward like a few seconds here. But she went to school, she says, pre-Instagram. Actually, she's going to say it right here.
Time where you couldn't, there was no Instagram. Thank God. I would.
Yeah, thank God. So I went to school. This is how old I am. I just turned 35. And I was thinking the other day, I went to school, college, that is, 4 years of college, without a laptop, smartphone, or social media. I mean, this isn't like 1970, 1980. This is 2007, 2008. I remember I heard about Facebook. I just didn't really log on to it. I don't think I first logged on to it until 2010 or something like that. So she's going to school probably mid-2000 teens. Maybe she wasn't on Instagram, although Instagram was available back then. But she didn't even have that pressure. Now, imagine being a college student today, 2021 and 2022, and you have Instagram, you've got TikTok, you've got, what's that other one now? Clubhouse. I haven't even logged on to that. That's how old I am. Twitch. There seems to be a different social medium every single day. And there's just a lot of comparison. You're seeing the best of somebody else's life. You're seeing the best that they're ever going to look. You're seeing how other people look at their peak. People don't wake up at 6 a.m. before they make their hair and take a photo of themselves and put it on Instagram. It's not what we do. We put our best step forward. So this is pre-Instagram when she's talking about this. When I was in college, I didn't even have Instagram. I didn't have any social media, and I still had this problem. Now the pressure is probably a lot more. But for her, she was looking at Victoria's Secret models, and what young woman doesn't want to look like a Victoria's Secret model until you see the kind of diet that they're on. Then it's that can be a different story. Anyway, I'm going to skip ahead here. Let's go to this part. 350 a second. All right.
80% of women are disordered eaters, and
okay, so she said 80% of women are disordered eaters. I would like to get a citation on that. Maybe 80% of women are disordered eaters at one point in their life. I don't know. That might be true. But at any one point, 80% of women are disordered eaters. I don't know. It seems like a specious claim. I don't believe a lot of statistics anymore. Like when people tell me these statistics, like 80% of women are disordered eaters, that can't be true. At any one point, I don't know, like maybe 80% of women are on some active weight loss plan. That might be true. But to say that they're disordered, I don't know. I'd like to get one. Hey, it's Tino. All right, let's skip ahead. We're going to go ahead a couple of minutes here. I wish I could just type in the time. Anyway.
Yeah, it's weird. I want to say it was normal, but I know it wasn't normal. But sadly, a part of me honestly thinks that right now, or at least back then, but especially now too, a normal girl is like obsessed with the bodies of models and other girls they see on Instagram.
Okay. Hi, Velvet. I did see you. Yes, most women at that age, at least 20, 21, 22, those formative years, are obsessed with how people look. And it's not just Victoria, it was me. I mean, I would look at triathlon magazines, I would look at Men's Health, I would look at, whatever media were available at the time and think, yeah, I want to look like that. I want to look jacked, shredded, whatever language that we use. Of course, I did and I didn't. I didn't like the weight that came with it, but I looked at these images and I was like, wow, that'd be really cool. It'd be really cool to have delts like that and pecs like that. I think everybody at some point has some issue with body image. I certainly did at that point. Not to say that you reach the age of 30 and say, okay, I don't care how I look anymore. Everybody has vanity. Vanity is something that you have your whole life. Sexual appeal is something that you want to have your whole life, or at least as long as you want it. So she's young. She's in college. She's surrounded by other attractive women. She's seeing these Victoria's Secret pics and thinking, wow, that would be awesome to be 5'7" and 120 pounds. I don't know how they maintain that. I shudder to think, but that's where she is at this point. All right. Anyway, let's skip ahead. Let's talk a little bit more about her college years.
Student athlete is a big adjustment. And I also was terrified to gain weight at college. That's just the thing that everyone talks about before you go to school. Don't gain the freshman 15.
Yeah, freshman 15. I didn't gain the freshman 15. I lost freshman 15. But I get it. So she's, student athlete, and then she has the food court and the cafeteria. Although I don't know if they have that anymore. Maybe they closed that due to COVID or something. But college students, if you haven't noticed, don't have the best diet. They're snacking a lot. They're under a lot of stress. They're a lot of late nights. You don't have the best habits when you are 21, 22. When I was in my second year, I had a pretty decent diet, which makes you wonder why I even changed it in the first place. But think back when you were 20, 21, like what were you eating then? You were probably having Cheetos or something, probably having stuff at the vending machine. That was my experience. I just saw a lot of snack food. Most college students don't know how to cook very well. You're living in dorm rooms, so it's like convenience is king. But then you combine that with this pressure to be attractive and to stay on the team. I don't know what sport she was playing. I think she said it earlier, but most sports are weight dependent. And if you go beyond a certain weight, you're out. So you've got contradictory forces here. All right, let's see where things go awry. All right. She's starting to eat more. All right,
let's count our calories. Let's do our numbers, whatever, like we did in high school, and let's just get back to where we want to be. So I started to restrict, and
that's where it starts, right? So she, for whatever reason, maybe it's for her sport, maybe it was to be more attractive, she started to restrict. That is like the natural default. Doesn't matter how many times this fails, people still do it. It's like playing the lottery. Yeah, I was in a gas station the other day, and it was sad. I saw this person with he's like 7 years old playing the lottery. And what is the mentality behind that? Like, for me, it's going to be different. It won't happen to me. Like, that happens to somebody else until it doesn't. And as we're going to see, this is going to severely backfire. So let's go ahead a little bit. All right, let's just start there. Oh, stress and restriction. This sounds
counting
good.
Calories and the dieting, like I was about to start, we're going to get a problem. And that's exactly what happened for me. At first, I would just come home and it would be like 7 or 8 at night. And
I know where this is going. I just know. So she restricts. She probably has a little bit of early success, and then, the wheels fall off. That's what happened to me. Like, I didn't start by intentionally restricting at first. I just was doing it. And then, the wheels fell off, and I realized that I was emaciated. And I mean, I wasn't emaciated, but very underweight. And I remember binging on old fruit at Whole Foods Market. They were just going to throw it in compost. And so I turned myself into a compost machine. And at first you think, it's just a one-off. It's not a big deal. And then it becomes this habit over and over. Then you're stuck. So that's what we're going to see here. All right, let's keep going.
I would just be really, really hungry, obviously, because I was not eating enough for how much my body needed. And I would like try to resist, and then be like, oh, I'm just gonna have a bowl of cereal.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have one bowl, right? I'll spoiler alert, she doesn't stop it at one bowl here. And not only that, but if you try to resist, you're probably going to lose, right? I mean, how many times have you tried to resist something? When you negotiate with this kind of urge, you're not going to win. Mel Robbins, she's that author, speaker. She talks a lot about the 5-second rule. And if you think about something for more than 5 seconds, you're probably not going to do it. Or in this case, if you think about the urge for more than 5 seconds, you probably are going to do it. So does she stop at one bowl? Probably not, but let's see what happens.
And then I would have a bowl of cereal, and then I would have like pizza and like just...
see, there it is. It starts with something healthy, and then it progresses and it progresses and it progresses. And it's just like this giant snowball. You can't stop it. So I know exactly what she's talking about. And then you eat the pizza, and then you're like, F it, I'm just going to do whatever I want here. So that's what she's experiencing here. Where are we in this video? Okay. I'm going to go ahead like a few seconds here because she says something important.
Let's be really good about the calories. Let's really be good about not eating things. And then I would wake up the next day and I would do that. And then...
So I think I missed it, but she said, tomorrow I'm going to be good. How many times have you said that? Like, I'm going to be good tomorrow. I'm going to be good tomorrow. It's really easy to say that after an episode. It's really easy to say, yeah, I'll be good tomorrow. I'll get what I want tonight, but then tomorrow I'll be virtuous, and I'll have all this self-control that never seems to arrive for whatever reason. And so she's in the cycle. So it's binge, and then it's repentance, and then it's this resolution to do better tomorrow. And then the cycle just repeats, and then it's just like tomorrow. That's what's happening here. I'll play it a few more seconds.
And at night, I would eat food again and have all this guilt and shame and be so upset with myself.
Okay, so there's the cycle, right? So she would have all this food, and then the guilt, the shame, right? That's usually when you make a resolution. You make resolutions on New Year's Eve after, you're, I don't want to say wasted, but, you've lived it up a little bit. It's like saying, I'm going to start fasting the night of Thanksgiving. Well, anybody can say that on the night of Thanksgiving, you're ready to explode. That's the easiest time. So that's where she is in this cycle. So let's let's keep going here.
And then restrict. And so this cycle continues.
There it is. See, she even lays it out right there. I don't even have to do the work. So restrict, and then she caves, she negotiates with it, and then there's a shame. And then one thing I would add to the cycle is add something that says something like resolution between shame and restrict. You can't see my cursor, but I feel shameful, then I'm going to do something about it, and then I'll restrict again. And then again, she keeps playing the lottery. Like, next time it'll be different. Next time it'll be different. Never is. I'm going to let's see if she says anything.
And as it went on, it just got worse and worse. And
because it's a degenerative cycle. The more you do it, the harder it is to finally undo it. Anyway, let's go ahead to 10 and a half.
Finally, and I'm giving myself this like deep, dark secret thing. Your body's like, okay, well, get all of it, because I know that in like an hour when you wake up, you're not going to eat.
Yeah, so she has taught her brain otherwise. So this is why I say that eating disorders, addictions, they're decision processing errors, they're learning errors. Because what has she taught her brain? Like, every time she wakes up, it's going to be a famine. She promises this famine that never comes, but her brain takes that seriously, right? Like, oh, you're going to start this like 60-day detox cleanse or whatever. You're going to do whole 80, which wouldn't be a bad idea, but you're going to go on this really restrictive diet starting tomorrow. Yeah, we better get it all in. Like, your brain's not stupid, like it kind of calls BS on this, but it doesn't know that, right? Like, your brain is protecting you from you doing stupid things like this. So it's actually serving her in a way, but she's digging her own grave because she keeps promising this famine. She keeps promising over and over and over. And so she teaches her brain, like, hey, every time we eat, this chick might go on a really severe famine. We better get it in now. It's that Last Supper effect. It's that New Year's Eve effect. This is the last time I'm going to do it, so I'm never going to do it again. Okay. You know what? I'm going to get to all the comments at the end. Otherwise, I'll never get through this. So I see your comments. Thank you for commenting. I didn't predict any comments tonight. I guess I underestimated how well this would go. All right. Anyway, let's keep going.
So guilty that I did all this like in secrecy, and just so ashamed.
This always happens in secret, doesn't it? Nobody ever binges like in front of other people. I mean, I never did, right? Although if you watch that video I made of what was her name? Soy or whatever, that Korean woman, she would purge when her boyfriend was in the apartment. I couldn't believe that. It's like, wow, you must be really familiar with your boyfriend, or you must have a really, really powerful urge to do this, or maybe both. I don't know. But usually this stuff happens in secret. She probably has, shrimp tacos when she's out and about, and then she has an entire pizza when she's alone. That's usually how it goes down. All right. There's something else here that she said. All right, let's go.
That I couldn't control myself. There's certain foods.
That's one of the worst things about it too, is that it's feeling that you can't control it. Like there's some external force. It's like, there's nothing controlling you. It's just, it feels that way. Right. I mean, it's you have taught your brain to do this, and now your choices are heavily biased. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Jonah Reed.
That still trigger me, that I haven't eaten in years, because they're foods that I binged, and I look at them and I just am disgusted. And
okay, that's interesting. Later, she's going to go into intuitive eating, but that doesn't sound intuitive. Like, there are some foods that she used to binge on and now she doesn't eat them anymore. That's kind of true for me too. Like, I don't want salted caramel ice cream anymore. I mean, yeah, it tastes good, but then it just reminds me of everything that I used to do. And I think that's true for her. So again, this is how she is teaching her brain. She has taught her brain to look at these former binge foods and think, oh, disgusting, I don't want this anymore. Now she sees it in a different way. I think that's kind of interesting, especially for somebody like her that goes into intuitive eating. You'll see that at the end.
Along with this came like a hyper calculated obsession with food.
So all of her attention is on the food, right? So attention is a huge problem, because all of her attention is fixated on this habit. And everything else has less attention. So you only have so much attention. Like imagine you have 100 coins of attention. She's spending 97 of those coins on this habit that she has. And if you're taking 18 credits as a student and you're an athlete, something's going to suffer here. All right, I'm going to skip to, she talked about the weight gain too. I don't want to miss that. All right, here we go.
Everyday life, just food and calories and my weight. The weight.
That's all that's all she cares about anymore. Right.
That was my goalish weight in high school. During my first 2 years of school, I gained 35 pounds.
All right. 35 pounds. Did she just say 2 years or was that first year? Well, either way, it was probably really devastating for her, right? I mean, she did this whole thing so that she could keep her weight down. Now she's up 35 pounds. I mean, she's up 35 pounds. And she's probably looking at it like, oh, no, this is terrible. And what's the natural inclination when she does that? It's to restrict more, which only reinforces the cycle. So now she's 35 pounds up. People are going to notice. She probably knows that they're going to notice. She's probably worried about what they're saying when they're not with her. You can't hide 35 pounds. You can hide the behavior. You can't hide 35 pounds, right? And for a 21-year-old student athlete, female student athlete, that's pretty devastating. All right, I'm going to go to this part.
Feeling full and sick and disgusting, like that's not something I did. However, I did try that one time. I remember.
She's referring to purging. So I think she only purged once. And she says that she didn't really want to purge or she couldn't purge. But even so, just having the idea, just even making an attempt makes you bulimic as far as I'm concerned. And that she would go that far, do something that she thinks is really disgusting. That just goes to show how deep this is.
I remember going to an invite and just looking at every girl around me and thinking that they looked so beautiful. And
there's the comparison, which only reinforces this whole thing because she sees them. Oh, they're so pretty. Oh, they're getting all the attention. Life is just great. Well, first of all, some of them probably have their own issues, right? She doesn't know that. Maybe they don't, but then that desire to restrict comes back again. It's like, oh, how do they look so good? Oh, now I'm 35 pounds up. Oh, I need to restrict even more. And this time it'll be different. Da, 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 da. So that's what's happening here. She does purge. She does purge at least once, which is probably as low as she goes. Okay.
Skinny, and I felt so big, and I felt like my stomach I just wanted to cut it off of me.
Yeah. So it decreases her body image. Now she doesn't feel attractive anymore. Now she thinks everybody notices the 35 pounds, and they probably do. Not that they should comment on it, but I mean, that's what people talk about, especially at that age. So imagine going around feeling like you have this 35-pound pouch everywhere you go. I mean, you feel that. Put on your clothes, you feel that. It's a really devastating feeling here. Anyway, so yes, she did purge. Let's go to the recovery part. Like, how does she get out of this mess? She gets kind of emotional in the middle here. I don't blame her.
And then at nighttime, we'll just eat everything back. And we started really diving into okay,
so she's working with a dietitian now, which is a good idea. You know what? I think every student athlete, especially in a weight dependent sport, should be working with a dietitian. Seriously. I can't believe we throw students into these sports and expect them to maintain this really lean weight, and we don't give them any guidance on it. It's kind of like handing an 18-year-old $50,000 in student loans and saying, here you go. I really can't believe we still do that. Anyway, so she's working with the dietitian. Let's see how that goes.
How much eating back? How often has this been occurring? Blah, blah, blah. And anyway.
So they're taking inventory. That's what I do. Right. Where do we start? Okay, how bad is the problem? What are you doing? How often are you doing it? What are you binging on? Where did this start? Start with the evaluation. Get that 30,000 foot view. I think that's what the dietitian is doing here.
Me and this nutritionist end up talking, and she, after a while, diagnoses me with a binge eating disorder.
diagnosis her. Okay. I mean, I don't think you have to be diagnosed to know that you're binge eating, right? I think it's kind of obvious, but according to her, she didn't know what binge eating was.
I had never heard of it. I think I'd heard of like binging, but I thought it was this thing like, oh, you just binge. Like, you know, people think like, oh, I break my diet too. But I mean, when you binge, it is like a ravenous, gluttonous thing.
Ravenous, yeah, someone say gluttonous. Gluttonous is, I don't know. I don't think people do it out of gluttony. Like, I've heard some people say that they feel greedy when they do it. Like, I understand that mindset, but it's just this it's a strong habit. It's a compulsion. Okay, so show yourself some forgiveness. But ravenous, yes, like this feeling that you're out of control and that you're out of body. You know, I hear a lot of people saying that I'm out of body. I don't have any control in the situation.
Right? Because it was finally like I wasn't just by myself alone after a binge. I finally called someone and like had them help talk me through what had just happened. And I'm so glad that I told my mom, because
that's a big step. Sorry, that's a big step. You know, telling your mom. Like, how do you tell your mom? Like, hey, how's college? I don't know, I'm binge eating. You know, like, that's not a. Well, really, I had no idea. But she says that one of the big steps she took was telling somebody. Should you tell loved ones? Should you tell people in your immediate circle? I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. I don't think it makes that big of a difference because they don't really know how to help. You know, I mean, what are they going to say? Like, oh, go get therapy or something. I mean, you can if you want. I mean, it's honest, right? You're being honest about it, but doesn't make the situation better. It's up to you. I could go either way on that, but I'm really glad she met with the dietitian. Anyway, so somebody finally knows, and she hadn't told anybody all this time. Usually you don't.
Intuitive eating.
All right, so here we go. So intuitive eating. Okay. I mean, I really don't preach intuitive eating, but remember that comment that she made before? Like, there are some foods that I don't have anymore because I used to binge on them. I don't want them anymore. I'm not sure what intuitive eaters would think about that. Like, well, if you really want it, you should have it. I don't know. I mean, let me know in the comments what you think about that. Is that contradicting intuitive eating? Maybe. So she goes into intuitive eating. She reads Tribblian Resch's book. Not going to go too much into that. All right.
I want it. The minute I told myself, hey, you can have anything, I suddenly didn't feel this need and this urge to eat everything.
Yeah. Okay. She stopped restricting is what it was. I have various opinions on unlimited permission. If you're binge eating, you know, should you give yourself permission to have chips and Cheetos and pizza? I don't know. I would say no. I would say give yourself some time to rehabilitate here. I would make unlimited permission more of a long-term goal, you know, but for her, I guess it helped. But stopping the restriction, that's definitely a big step. You know, stop making the promises over and over. Stop promising that you're gonna go on this famine again. Stop threatening a famine. That's a big step. You know, quit fasting for 2 or 3 days after each episode. That only perpetuates it. You're only digging yourself deeper. I think that's why she's making the changes here. She quits doing these insane diets and insane restriction.
Because it wasn't bad. It wasn't forbidden. It was just, do I want it or not? But I'm not going to be upset with myself if I eat it or not. And
yeah. So, and also getting rid of the guilt, the shame. I mean, there's some emotional rehab here.
Get professional help, and this is going to blow your mind. I also did a lot of things for my own mental health. I haven't weighed myself in years.
Pretty shocking. I mean, I'll take her at her word. I mean, I weigh myself pretty consistently. It's up to you whether you want to or not. I find that tracking things helps, but this is definitely one of those things that comes out of intuitive eating. Like, don't weigh yourself. You know, take the scale and toss it out the window. That sort of thing. Okay, yeah, you can do that. If you can completely detach yourself from physique and weight, and you don't want to weigh yourself ever again, you never want to look at that number again, yeah, go ahead. I'm not going to argue against that. But if you have any sort of physique goal, if you have any sort of fitness goal, you kind of have to track things, you know. So, but for her to not weigh herself, that's impressive. Props to her. I'm going to skip ahead. She goes into more in like intuitive eating and all that. I'll put a link to the full video in the box after I'm done.
And I pulled out the bar and I was like, oh my God. I had a bar in my bag all day and I forgot about it.
OMG. So she's walking around and she realizes she has this tasty chocolate bar or protein bar or something in her bag and she forgot about it. Why? Because her attention is somewhere else. She's not paying attention to all the food. That's not the number one thing anymore. That's a big help. Like when you can divert your attention and start focusing on other things in your life, whether it's sports or school or relationships, fun, and you're not thinking about the next meal. You're not thinking about the last meal. You're not thinking about how to compensate anymore. You have more options and you're not thinking about it all the time. I think that is a major sign of recovery. It's not just lack of binging and restricting, although that's a major part of it. That's the physical component. Then you have the mental components. Like how much attention are you diverting to this? How do you feel after you've eaten too much? How do you feel after you eat something that doesn't meet your really stringent standards? That to me is a big sign when you stop paying attention so much to it. So look at her, look at that happy face. She's just so happy that she's recovered. All right, let's go. I have one more point that I want to make here. All right, here we go.
About the number on the scale, but I promise you there is a way, because I used to feel like that. I used to feel like there's no way. But in order for it not to be forever, you have to do a few things, right? You have to seek the help. You have to tell someone. That's one of the things I did. And then you have to figure out how you can work on this.
And the good thing now is that there are so many options for help. I'm one option. There are other people who deal with this. There are therapists, you have dietitians who specialize in eating disorders. You have, come on, help me out, coaches. You have Facebook groups if you want to go that route. There's a lot of options. When I was, in college, 2007, 2008, there weren't a whole lot of options. I think I went to a therapist once, maybe twice. We kind of talked about these issues. I was in my orthorexic stage at that point, and I didn't think anything was wrong with me, which is kind of funny because it's so obvious. Yeah. But my point is I couldn't go on Instagram or YouTube and type in how to stop or overcome orthorexia. Remember, this is only 12, 13 years ago. There just weren't that many options. Now it's there is a coach or a professional for everything. You can go to BetterHelp. I'm not a sponsor for BetterHelp, but you can go to BetterHelp and connect with a therapist and talk with them today, through Zoom. And the infrastructure and the tools that we have now are so much better. So if you have this problem, you're one or two clicks away from finding an answer. I couldn't say that. Not saying it wasn't my fault. I developed this problem myself, but where else was I going to go? That's what I'm saying. Anyway, I think those are all the key points that I wanted to make here. So I'm going to take away. By the way, thank you, Victoria, for sharing that. Now it's just going to be me. I will go through the comments. I didn't expect, I expected 0 comments today. Yes, hello to everybody. Haley says, I also lost weight my first year of college, but I chucked that up to the fact that walking to get to the majority of places was more convenient. Yeah, that's one reason why they say that French people are leaner is because they walk more in Europe. Whereas here in North America, we like to drive places. No joke. I know people who drive to the mailbox. They have a 200-foot driveway and they drive to the mailbox. It's nothing could be more American than that. Okay. Thank you for the super sticker from Essetino Artists. Let's see. California Ranger. Hey, Kevin, I watch all your videos and I've been considering starting a channel much like yours, but first starting by sharing my story. Would you be willing to review my video summary? Yes. If you make, I have. So here's the thing. I have so many videos that I want to critique. If you type in eating disorder recovery story, there's going to be I don't know, a million. I could do this every day for 5 years, and maybe I'll do that. That's what I should do. But yes, if you make one, send it to me. My email address is in the box, kevin@kevinbersaga.com. Send me a link. Yeah, I'll do that. Essetino Artist, Kevin deserves it. He works so hard on his channel. Yes, I do. I probably worked harder to get my first 1,000 subs than anybody. People never think Velvet. People never think I binge just because I'm skinny, and they never take it seriously, but it's a huge problem for me. Yeah, I mean, that's just part of the lack of understanding and awareness of eating disorders, Velvet, unfortunately. People say, oh, you're weight restored. You don't look like you have an eating disorder. I hate that. I'm going to make a video some days, like 10 things you should never tell somebody that has an eating disorder. That's one of them. Like, oh, you look fine. What do you mean? Okay. Well, a lot of people who smoke are skinny, right? I mean, that doesn't make them healthy. Just because you're skinny doesn't mean you're healthy. But I think we equate that as a culture. It's like, oh, if you're skinny, you're healthy. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Velvet, again, so I can eat a lot in front of people and somewhat binge because they literally think nothing of it. Really? Maybe they just think you have a big appetite or something. But I mean, like a full out binge, would you have 12 donuts in front of them? I mean, if you did, I mean, that'd be pretty intense, right? Californian Ranger. I feel that, Velvet, in the severe depths of my exercise bulimia. I was binging daily, but no one could see. That's the point. You don't want anybody to see, right? It's your own dirty little secret that you do on your own when you're alone and you have nowhere to go and you have nowhere to be, right? And nobody's expecting you. That's the dangerous part. But when you're in front of other people, you present this image that you have everything under control. So when you look at other people that seem to have everything, just consider they might not have it all under control. I mean, about your dirty secrets. You don't know what their dirty secrets are. Everybody has something going on in the background. You just don't know what it is. Just stay in your lane. That would be my advice. Haley Rain, I think exercise is an underestimated means of purging calories. Yes, it is. It's called exercise bulimia. I think, who just mentioned that? Yeah, Californian Ranger, exercise bulimia. It is. It's the same mentality. You do something wrong, you feel guilty, you feel like you need to do something, you need to correct for it. So I'm going to purge by getting on the elliptical for 2 hours. I once did the Stairmaster for 3 hours. That was horrible. But yes, it is. Had I been able to purge at that point on that day, I probably would have done it. Sometimes I was successful, sometimes I wasn't. Sometimes the toothbrush wasn't enough. So I'd go to the gym for 3 hours and I would feel better about it, even though it didn't completely compensate for it. Same mentality. Haley says, again, especially with athletes. Yeah, I'm telling you, like student athletes, I think these kinds of disorders, it's not just Victoria, like it's a lot of them, and they just kind of suffer in the background. And we tell these 18 and 19-year-old student athletes that you need to weigh this much. And if you don't, you're going to lose your scholarship. Like, what kind of incentive is that? Velvet, thank you, California Ranger. No one really relates. I feel like binge eating isn't taken seriously by anyone, and I'm alone. Well, Velvet, you're not alone. The thing is, like I said, there is so much help online. There are entire communities of people who are dealing with this. So just because somebody isn't in your geographic proximity to you doesn't mean you can't go online. You probably spend more online than you do in the physical world, or maybe that's just me. Let's see. Never helped telling other. Velvet says it never helped. It never helped telling others. Yeah, I found that too. I remember telling a friend. Now I regret it because, well, I mean, he knows now, but it didn't help. I felt when I look back, it was something that I needed to take care of, and just telling somebody, it was just like, I don't know, sharing your dirty laundry with people just never helps. Let's see. I think I lost my place here. Okay, Haley says intuitive eating coming from a disordered background just sounds like a terrible idea. Mindful eating or something, but everyone is different. Yeah, it is. I think intuitive eating is more of the goal, not the means. This is just my philosophy. You need to go through a period of rehab, like where you're kind of regimented, you're not experimenting a lot, you're not having your favorite foods, you're not having all your fear foods, you just have this really consistent, boring diet. And then as you develop habits and routine and you stop restriction, then you can start experimenting with other stuff. So that's I don't preach intuitive eating. So, but there are plenty of other people who do. And maybe that's the best route for you. Let's see. Oops, clicked the wrong button there. So Vilva says, whenever I try to eat my favorite binge foods or my binge foods, it never works out. So I think I just stay away from those. I would stay away for a while. It's fine. They'll be there when you get back. They will be there. Trust me. Processed, tasty foods are not going anywhere anytime soon. I promise. Let's see. Haley, orthorexia is terrible. Of course, there's a difference in caring for one's health and then developing orthorexia. Yeah. Well, it's just like you have good intentions at first and then things go awry. And of course, nobody was coaching me on that. You know, when I decided to do that, I just thought, oh, you know, I'm just going to try to be healthy. And, you know, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a voice in my life. You know, nobody helped me on that process. And when you're 20, 21, you don't really know what you're doing. No offense to the youngins out there, you know, all you young people out there. But you don't have filters, you know, you don't know how to implement new information very well. You will as you get older, but when you're 20, 21, not as much. Velva says, your videos are so helpful. Thank you. Even though they only get like 2 or 3 likes sometimes. Yeah, I mean, that's just the nature of being a small YouTuber. You have to show up when nobody else is there. It's like being a stand-up comedian and telling jokes in front of, I don't know, the janitor or something, and like nobody's there. But until you do that, you have to do that before you tell jokes in a giant auditorium and a sold out crowd. You know, that's just the process. So Velvet, thank you for watching. It makes me feel good. You're hard working. I remember when you also put subtitles. You know what? I stopped doing the subtitles because it was like $10 or $15 or more per video. And I don't know. I wasn't getting more traction with it. That's why I stopped. I might bring those back. So they're on hold for now. Haley says, you don't look like you have an eating disorder. Is that a compliment? Because I certainly did. Another phrase is, but you look so healthy. Thanks. I just worked out for 4 hours on less than 500 kilocalories. Don't give up, Haley. That's what I would say. At least you're watching this video, you know, like you're on this live stream right now and you realize that something is wrong. And next step for you is to get help with me or somebody else, you know. But I know where we've been, you know, very restrictive, working out all the time, you know, diverting all of this attention to this cycle, very obsessed about weight or not gaining weight. Like it is fixable, Haley. So just keep going. All right. All right. Final comment. Velva says, doesn't mean you're any less working. If it's not beneficial, don't feel pressure to bring it back. Oh, okay. Well, I might bring it back. I think when I get bigger and have a slightly bigger budget, I think I'll probably bring it back. I'm going to pull out all the stops. You know, the thumbnails will be dope. Subtitles will be there. I might have a really good intro, you know, down the line. Anyway, that is all I have for you tonight. I will try to do these. I promise at least 2 a month. I'm going to try to do 1 a week, if not more. There are so many good eating disorder stories. Everyone is different. They all have valuable lessons. And so I'll watch them. I will mine for the gold, and then I will share that with you all. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe. I will be back soon. So thanks for watching. Bye, guys.